All right, so we're live.
All right. We're live again.
It pops up.
Happy Friday to everybody here on this cool, amazing change of the season this morning. So Dustin and Dane with The Lever. So for those of you that did not tune into us last time, this is episode 2. And what The Lever is a radio show about leveraging your network, leveraging the people that you know. Your past experiences, your past business failures, which we're going to talk about a little bit today.
Yeah.
And you're on topic, right?
Yeah.
Your business failures and your business successes, right? So your network is your net worth, if you will. A little play on words there, but which is not for me at all, for what in any course of imagination. So thanks for tuning in with us again. Episode 2. We're going to continue this. We may have a little fun Skype in over Thanksgiving. We just talked about that. So that was good. Cool. Some kind of cool. So make sure you tune in for that when you're at home with the family at 10 o'clock in the morning and pull off and get a little bit of business done. So, well, man, how's your week been?
It's been pretty good. It's been busy. You and I did something yesterday. We went and delivered food to some realtors and presented our businesses and stuff like that. And that's always fun. I think that's what you spend most of your time doing, right?
I do.
Yeah,
I
me
do.
too.
Yeah, they kicked me out of the office. They said, get out of the office because you're driving us crazy. You're driving me to other people, right?
Yeah.
So, which is good.
Yeah. So sometimes I feel like I'm more of a food delivery guy than credit repair, because I'm typically bringing lunch to a real estate company or mortgage company, shaking hands, and then on to the next, picking up the next.
So if any of you guys are with Uber Eats, maybe give us a call and we'll start giving you our calendar to go through and deliver these things so we can just show up from one to the next.
Because there's a science. Like if you go do a breakfast, you got to get there at the right time, get through traffic so the food's not cold.
Yep.
But you don't want to be late. So there's a science to it. You got to be pretty good, and I think I've gotten pretty good at
it. Your reputation speaks for yourself. So you are very, very good at that. Absolutely, man. So, but again, that was the leveraging relationship that we have, right? Mm-hmm. The guy that was putting that on, he reached out to you, and then you reached out to me, and again, it's building those connections, right?
Yep.
So you had mentioned there's a process even when you're doing classes, right? So that's kind of what we talked about a little bit last week with I don't know what your alliances are or you guys' alliances are, doesn't really matter, but the Nick Saban, LSU, Alabama, right? And we talked a little bit after our show last week that he's so successful for a lot of reasons, but one of those reasons is the process that he goes through with game films, with recruiting, with making tweaks along game time. That's one of the reasons that he's so successful. So what processes have you found in your business that have really helped take you to the next level, or what maybe have you failed at, and how have you done that?
Yeah, so the first couple of years, there was a lot of failure. I didn't really know what to do. One thing that I've always tried to do is, because I think there's 2 types of ways you can go about it in business. You can go fast and hard and make a ton of mistakes, learn from it, adjust, and keep going and get there quicker. Or you can be that person who sits back, doesn't really take a chance, make sure you get it right the first time so you don't lose money or whatever the case may be. And so I feel like I've always just gone fast, made a lot of mistakes, and I've learned from it. But one thing that I've tried to do, I'll always hear this saying that success leaves clues. There's people that have been here and done it before, and there's no reason to reinvent the wheel if they're doing something really well. So I've tried to always, in my industry, take the good from the people who are doing really well, and anything I think, could be improved on, go a different direction, improve on it. Obviously, there's still going to be mistakes that you make, things that you do wrong, but just learn from it as fast as you can so you can keep going.
Make an adjustment, right? Just so I think that's the thing that successful entrepreneurs, coaches, whatever it may be, I tell the office all the time, hey, we're changing the oil on the plane and we're not coming back down for a landing, right? So in business, you can't stop everything and then make a change, right? You have to continue to fly the plane. And so you've got to figure out how to do that while you continue the business going. And sometimes that's a challenge. Sometimes you waste a lot of money, right? There's plenty of times when we started where I would reschedule my appointments and tell people I overbooked, which is not atypical for me, right? I tend to overbook. But it was because we ran out of funds and we didn't have gas to put in the car to be able to go to the meetings. So I'd sit there and make phone calls, right? And then go, I don't want to do that again. So how do we rebudget? How do we relearn how to do those things? So I'm with you. I was kind of I still am fast and hard, and then turn around and look and go, how do we get better on that? right?
So do you have a routine that you've been doing this a long time now. Do you have kind of a routine at this point from the point you wake up to the point you go to bed, or you just kind of fly by the seat of your pants?
No,
and just...
I, a lot of, and sometimes I feel like I'm flying by the seat of my pants,
Mhm.
right? But a business coach of mine, I was having a lot of issues with time blocking. I
Mhm.
have a lot of issues with what's my highest and best use of time. And so we dialed that into where am I most productive,
Mhm.
and then where am I lacking, and if I have a bad day, if you will, or such a not as productive day, what happened during that day that I didn't
Mhm.
do, and a lot of that was I didn't get my mornings in, right, my morning time. So
Yeah.
Miracle One Morning, religious, whatever you want to call it,
Mhm.
right? Now my routine is I'm up at in between 4:30 and 5.
I know you're up early because you text really
I
early.
know, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah. So if you guys have ever met my teammates in the office or any of the network partners that I work with, it's frustrating for them. My
okay.
mind starts going and I text at 5:50 and they're like, "Stop it, go to bed." But I do my devotional, I have my quiet time. I go to the gym and I'm listening to books or listening to podcasts or
Mhm.
listening to sermons or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And that's my time to get right. And I look at it and go, I'm going to get all my stuff done from 5 in the morning to, let's say, 8 o'clock in the morning,
Mhm.
so that when the rest of my team gets there, my stuff's already taken care of and clear, and then I'm ready to move on to the next thing, right? And then you go that for whatever the day ends up having, I've already got grounded. Right?
Yeah.
I already have that foundation.
That's good.
And then for the week, I kind of learned that I need to have a couple of days in the office still, right?
Mhm.
So Mondays are typically office days. Friday, half the days usually in the office. And then after that, because I have a great team, just like you do, I need to be out and about. And we need to be scheduling classes. We need to be scheduling, meetings, face-to-face meetings, and those sorts of things.
Mhm.
And so that's kind of my daily process. Obviously, in our agency, we have other processes inside of that. And I was
Mhm.
talking with a friend this week. And so much so when there's a client experience that goes bad,
Mhm.
or something happens in a transaction that you go, that didn't turn out the way I want to go to. If you go back and look at your process, you typically skipped a step,
Mhm.
right? So if you follow the process or the gold standard, it's kind of what we talked about a little bit, right? There's got to be a gold standard to whatever process it is. In insurance, a client comes in and this is what happens every time. And if we either A, don't close the business, or B, there's a bad experience, it's usually because one of those processes, one of those steps are skipped. And then after the close, there's a big process there as well.
And that's the importance of consistency, because if you're consistent and you're doing the same thing every time, it's easy to measure that and see where you've made a mistake and you can fix it. If you're inconsistent, then it's really hard to find areas that you're lacking in and fix it.
Yeah. Well, and I think you made a good point too, right? It's you can't measure it. If you can't measure it, you can't monitor it. And if you can't monitor it, you can't improve on it, right? So it's, hey, today was a great day. Today was successful. What'd you do? I don't know. Well, then you can't improve on it, or you can't replicate it, right? So having that process to be able to measure those things that you're successful at and things you need to improve on is you have to have it, right? You don't have a business without a process, in my opinion.
How important in your business, question number one, and question is this, and question number two, and say you've done this 10 years, at what year do you think you perfected the process of delegation? So that's hard for some people.
This morning I was still dealing with that.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, I don't think you ever. I realized that I needed to delegate and elevate, if you will, probably 2 or 3 years ago. I needed to do it beforehand, but I never accepted the fact of that. Right.
Yeah. It's hard to do for some people.
Hey, I can do my own thing. Right. I subscribe to the EOS system, Entrepreneur, Traction, and Rocket Fuel, and all those sorts of books. But it's the very first chapter talks about letting go of the vine, and you're only one person. And honestly, I didn't get into business for myself anyway. I got into business for how many people we can empower, which I think you're the same way.
Yeah.
Empower to grow and build something for themselves, and things start dropping, balls start dropping when you're trying to handle it all.
Yeah.
And so you got to let go of that vine. You have to delegate. You have to go. And I had to realize that the things that's taking up the most of my time, I suck at anyway. Right? I'm not good at it.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want to pass that off, because if I don't like doing it, somebody else probably doesn't like doing it either. And realizing that other people have a different skill set than you, and going, hey, I don't like doing X, but they love it.
Yeah.
So they're going to be much better at it. So I'm going to pass those things off. And then again, you have to have a process in that. Be consistent in that. I'm going to pass that off, and then I'm going to hold you accountable. Another thing my business coach spoke into my my business life on is I'll delegate it, and then I'll pick the shovel up in 2 days and go, I'll just do it myself.
Yeah.
And then we fall back into the same thing, and we don't allow our teammates to grow and learn, right? We're not giving them the freedom to fail of, hey, it's okay to go make mistakes. I want you to figure it out yourself, because 2 heads are better than 1, 5 heads are better than 2, if you will. And so to answer your question in a long, roundabout way, I still am not good at delegation, and I'm still working on that, right? And I have to check myself all the time, move from I do it to we do it to they do it, so that you can go on and really further the company. Because you're, at the end of the day, you're doing your team a disservice because you're not allowing them to grow, and you're doing your clients a disservice because you're trying to do things that you're not good at. They bought you, or they're paying your team because of the things that you're good at. So if you're doing crap that you're not good at, let it go.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
Let it go.
Absolutely. I feel like I'm finally at a point where, and I hate to even say this because I know some of my employees are listening, but there's so many things that they're better at than I am.
Absolutely.
And it makes me so comfortable, or feel comfortable, to allow them to take over. I can be out of the office dropping off food or doing whatever, knowing that they're in here doing a better job at what they're doing than I would have been able to do myself. It feels really good to get to that point. But getting to that point was tough. I did try to do everything and juggle a million different things at once, and that's when stuff falls through the cracks.
You're only one man, and you have to build your team. I caught in high school and college, and pitchers always want to. I have my things about pitchers, but anyway, whatever. Pitchers always want to get strikeouts, right? Because the number of strikeouts are posted for everybody. Everyone wants to see, and I had to constantly remind them, hey, you got 7 people behind you. Your job is just to get the ball over the plate. Let them do their work, right? So our job as business owners and entrepreneurs is give our team the opportunity to succeed. Let them do what they're good at. Right. So that's something I constantly have to keep telling myself is just give them the opportunities. Right.
I like that. That's good. All right. Well, let's talk about something that's not always fun to talk about. Mistakes that we've made. And what you did, how you learn and improve, and the growth that you've been able to make from your mistakes. So kind of tell me your process or your mindset on how you feel about failure, making mistakes. Is it okay? Does it get you down? Does it affect you for a long period of time? And then maybe a real life example or a good example of a time that you've made a mistake or failed at something and how you've grown from that.
Sure. So I'd be lying to tell you that I love making mistakes, right? Nobody likes that, especially guys. I think we have a little bit more ego than a lot of people, but it's in my opinion, it's all on perception, right? How do you perceive a mistake or a failure? Is it an opportunity to grow, or is it a something like your cat, right? You want to cover up your stuff. If you cover up your stuff, you never grow. And so you asked for a real life example, man. We made tons of mistakes growing the agency and growing the business and growing the different other partnerships that we have. But being able to take a step back and reevaluate and go, what can I do better? What can we do better? And then let's readdress and go from there. I think so many times you even you're fast and hard and charger like you are, I know, you just push.
Go for it.
And you make a mistake and you go, okay, great, that didn't work, and you go right back in. You don't take the time to step back and reevaluate and go, okay, let's reevaluate, let's readdress what we need to take care of, and then we're going to re-enter. I took my leadership to a deal. We listened to John Maxwell speak,
nice.
And he talks about that, right? It talks about how we see people that just always continue to go no matter the mistakes they make, but they're doing the same thing. And we like to say, oh, he's tenacious, or oh, the mistakes that he's making doesn't matter. Well, that's John Maxwell is like, that's stupid.
I guess that means he's insane.
He's insane because he never makes a change, right? If you keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, that's the definition of insanity. So when you make a mistake, you have to take the time to step back, which is hard for me. Take the time to step back, reevaluate what you need to change, and then re-enter again. And guess what? You might mess up again. Reevaluate again and go from there. So something not on business was just kind of rolling through my head. My daughter, you haven't met Lexi, she's 10. she loves to succeed in everything that she does. I don't know if she got that from me or mama, but it she doesn't like to fail in anything. And she came home the other night, and I cooked dinner, got dinner on the table, and I was going through checking her homework while we were eating dinner. And she got, I don't know, 5 or 6. She's going to kill me for if she ever watches this. She got 5 or 6 of them wrong, right? And I gave it back to her. And she looks through it. She makes it again and gives it back to me. I check it. She got the 5 or 6 wrong again. And I hand it to her. And she starts bawling, right? And my dad mind, I'm like, get over here and cuddle with me.
Yeah.
Come on.
It's okay.
It's okay. And so we started talking about it. And come to find out, she had made a bad grade on a test, which is not her typical deal, right? And I'm like, why didn't you tell me about that? We talked about the test, blah, blah, blah. She goes, well, I don't like to fail.
Yeah.
I said, babe, failing is part of it. I said, do you think daddy fails? She said, no. And I said, honey, probably 90 times a day.
Just
right?
don't tell you.
I fail, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't dwell on that. We celebrate our successes, but we don't celebrate our failures. We need to start celebrating our failures too and go, hey, great job. Go for no, if you will, right? Go for the mistakes so that you can learn from those. Nobody learns from success, in my opinion.
That's
you learn
true.
from the pain of the failure.
That's true.
So anyway, to sum up a long story aside of that, we talked about all of the stuff in the math problems that she was working on and realized that she knows the content. She's just going through it too fast.
Yeah.
She runs things too fast, right? So having her recognizing that now, she went and took a test the next week. She said, Dad, I got 100, blah, blah, blah. Awesome. What did we learn from that? And it's I learned I need to slow down and pay more attention to these certain minute details. And that could be that in business, right? Is you run into a new relationship and you're doing all of these things to help that person out, and you lose some of the details and you drop the ball on some things. So what do you need to do? Maybe it's delegation. Maybe it's paying more attention to the way that your marketing said event or said thing or whatever it may be. But you enter, you make the mistake, you reevaluate, you hit it again.
That's right.
But you got to have that reevaluation piece to learn from yourself. And then I think a lot of people, sometimes myself included, actually have to make the change.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Once you recognize that whatever issue's there, you gotta make the change, or nothing's gonna change. Right.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. For me, before I started this business, I knew that I wanted to be a business owner. I've always looked up to people like Mark Cuban and Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, all those guys. So
it's not a bad goal there.
No, not at all. Just Mark Cuban talks about the difference between sports and businesses. Business is 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days, and it's crazy competition. And I found that fascinating. But my point is that before I even got into owning a business, I'd read all these books and I'd studied these guys, and because I was so fascinated, it was fun for me as my entertainment to read and learn about their process and how they made it, their journey. And nobody's book ever said anything about everything's going to go perfect and that you're going to do it right the first time and it's going to be easy. And so when I come to some of the hurdles or I make mistakes, I just kind of smile because it pops in my head that chapter of the book that told me this was going to happen. And so it's kind of an anticipation thing for me. I expect it to happen. I try to be as prepared as I can for every given situation, but I just try not to be too hard on myself. Obviously, when it affects other people, it's hard not to, but that's okay. That's I think what makes owning a business so fun is to be able to go back to the drawing board and work it out and come in the next day and do a better job.
Absolutely. And I think you made a point. It was pointed out to me last week that I look like I'm working, but I'm actually taking notes because this man's dropping some crazy knowledge on me, right? But I think one of the key things you said was set the expectations. Right? You're reading things, it's going to come. Too many times in business, we go, oh, well, we made this. We had a down year. We had a down quarter. We had a down week. Oh, my gosh, I'm out. No, that's going to happen.
You got to play the long game.
You're going to we're in this year, really. We're kind of out of it now, but we're in a big transition phase in the agency. And I read a book right before that called Good to Great. And if you guys have, so if you haven't read it, read it. You guys go read it. It's awesome. It talks a lot about a lot of numbers, and I'm not a huge numbers guy, so I had to probably read things 4 or 5 times to grasp it. But inside of that book, it talks about how companies grow, and then if the leader of the organization doesn't make changes and delegate and do the things that they need to do, you plateau. And then if you still don't make changes, then you start to go back down. I know
Yeah.
I'm talking to him, but I'm doing this kind of curve right there, right? Huge organizations and successful, long legacy type organizations,
Mhm.
they hit that plateau and then they make a change and they
Mhm.
start growing again. Well, what the people don't talk about inside of that is when you go to make the change, you're going to drop.
Yeah.
There's going to be a pullback in
Mhm.
growth. There's going to be because your priorities change.
Yeah. And just a note on that, sorry to interrupt, but I read a book one time that talked about that, and it scared me because it said exactly what, maybe it was that book, and it talked about when you make that change, you got to be okay with going backwards a little bit to get to where you really want to be. And I had to really seriously think about that because I was comfortable and I was happy where I was at. But I knew, that my goal far exceeded where I was at. But that's a scary thing, and I think that's something that's a really good book for people to read and understand that you're going to have to go through that, and you got to be okay with it because it's not fun necessarily while you're taking steps backwards.
It's not fun, and if you're high growth minded like you are, like I am, like a lot of our listeners are, and a lot of other people are, you never want to take a step back, but you can't propel forward unless you take that step back. Right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's super important in my opinion.
So let's see here. One thing that I wanted to start doing, I'm going to talk a lot about books. I think that readers are leaders. I think that saying is so true. I think that having confidence when you do business comes from, a lot of experience, but also you can use the experience of others. And I think that's what books are great for. And so one thing that I want to do, or one segment I want to do on the show, is just kind of highlighting a book that I've read. I know you've read a lot too, so we can maybe alternate or whatever the case may be. But the book I was talking to you about was...
The ones I've read, I've already read. I want to hear what you read.
Okay, well, I want to hear what you read.
No, you're good.
So the book that I wanted to talk about, or just kind of briefly highlight, I won't go all into it, but it's called EntreLeadership by Dave Ramsey.
Okay.
And being a credit guy, I don't necessarily agree with everything Dave Ramsey says.
Sure.
He's kind of anti-credit. He doesn't believe in having credit cards or any kind of debt whatsoever. And I agree with him on a lot of things. And I think most people listening, everybody I've met feels kind of the same way. But he has a lot of really good information. If you're a business owner, or you work within a company and you're basically run your own business like an insurance agent would, I think this is a great book for you to read. He talks about his lessons on becoming a business owner. He was a realtor at one point, really successful realtor. Then he got into doing like financial counseling at his church. And now he does real estate investing. He has a radio show. He writes books and stuff like that. So he talks about a lot of his failures and how he overcame that. And I use that to try to protect myself from making the same mistakes. And so that's really interesting to read. He talks about how to set up your business the right way. He talks about being a good leader, because you can't be an entrepreneur without being a good leader. I don't believe in that, and he doesn't either. He talks about hiring employees, which is one of the hardest things I've ever dealt with within my company, is hiring employees, getting good employees, keeping them, training them, all the stuff that goes along with that. And I'll even admit a big mistake. One of the biggest mistakes I've made is I read that book and he talked about his interview process. And I thought, that seems a little excessive to me. He kind of does 2 or 3 interviews. He makes them jump through a lot of hoops. And I've interviewed people after one hour meeting and thought, this person's great, I'm going to hire him, and it didn't work out. And so I learned the hard way, that a couple of times. And so I think, listen to a guy who's been there and done it is good. And then
learning from, not to interrupt you, but learning from those that have been before you.
Yeah.
I
He's
wrote
gone through the same things.
Yeah, I wrote on my mirror, is we're going through the hiring process with a bunch of different positions too.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote on my mirror in my bathroom, so I'll always remember it. But somebody said, I can't remember who it was now, I'll have to look it up, but look at interviewing like an adoption process, right? You're bringing somebody into your family, so don't just go out there and hire them quick. And I have to remind myself, it's like, oh, yep, great fit, put them in, go.
Yep.
And then 90 days that comes down the road, and I go, that was a waste of my time, a waste of my money. If I would have been a little bit more thorough, then it would have really helped. So that may be something we talk about at some point too, is, hey, what's the interview process? What are your best practices? What are the mistakes that you've made? Things like that. So, sorry, go ahead.
No, absolutely. And then the last thing he touches on is just sales, and the right way to do sales. He's an ethics guy. And I think, sales has a bad reputation. And I'm in the credit repair industry, so I already feel like I'm an advocate for doing things the right way. And here's a reputation of what I'm in. And I have to be really different for people to notice. Sales, kind of the same thing. People don't like to be sold. And so I think he has a really unique approach on sales. So I won't give the whole book away, but it's called EntreLeadership by Dave Ramsey. And it's only got perfect reviews, and I think it's one of the best books you can read.
Awesome. Well, and you made a comment in the beginning, right? Hey, sometimes we agree, sometimes we don't. I think anything and any person, if you come into a relationship or come into a book with an open mind and go, I want to know the few things that you don't know, and I want to figure out how to help you no matter what, right? I think that's good.
Cool. Let's see here. So we're going to talk about some events that are coming up, some things that I'm doing, some things that you're doing. Next week, we hope to have our first speaker on. My goal has been to get the best of the best to come on the show. I want to get people that a lot of people in the area know that are doing really well. And they're busy. They're busy people.
So we called Dave Ramsey.
Dave Ramsey was busy Friday. So,
but you did talk to him.
Yeah,
okay, good.
Yeah,
good.
We talked for a little bit, but so we're working on our first guest. Hopefully that'll be next week, and then Thanksgiving week is.
The week after that.
Okay, and so you're going to be out of town, but we're going to have a pretty.
We're going to do it anyway.
Yeah, we're going to do it anyway.
Yeah,
we're going to keep it going.
We're going to be consistent.
Yeah.
How about that? Consistent in the process.
Yeah, we can't.
So weekend after that, we probably won't have anybody on that week, obviously, because we spend time with their family. But we're gonna definitely keep it going. So so what events do you have coming up this week?
Okay, so
what do you know about it?
So I'm going to highlight some events that I'm a part of and the people that are hosting them. I work with a lot of great people in the Dallas area. Monday in Rowlett, and I'll put the information on the side. I go through all that. People aren't going to remember it anyway. But Monday in Rowlett, I'm doing. I'm sponsoring a class with Christy Osborne from Fairway Mortgage.
Awesome.
She's doing a class. It's called Creative and Colorful Mortgage Products. It's for realtors. So if you're a realtor and you're in that area, or even if you're not, I've heard this class several times. Christy's awesome. She's a great loan officer, been doing it a long time, and she teaches some really good classes.
Awesome.
So I'm happy to partner with her on that. And that's Monday, November 12th. I'll put the information on Facebook later. I have 2 first-time home buyer seminars on Saturday. So if we happen to have any first-time home buyers or people that are renting right now that are interested in buying, I have one in almost out towards Fort Worth, and then another one out towards Rockwall, both on Saturday. So I'll put more information about that. So I'm basically going to be bouncing from one to the next on Saturday, and not this Saturday, but next. That's the 17th of November. And then a big realtor party in Grapevine on December 14th. It's called Jolliest Bunch of Realtors. It's all over Facebook right now as far as the invite, and there's like 90 people that have already RSVP'd. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So I hope to see all of you guys at that event too. Grapevine, December 14th.
December 14th. Okay, yeah, we've heard about that as well. I think it'll be well attended for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. So, what you got going on?
Well, man, we have a class right after this. We've got a class at Star Trail up in Prosper. Andy Butler with First Bank is teaching on bridge loans, and First Bank's got a really unique, cool product. It's a true bridge, and in the market that we just kind of came out of, it's still there, but that product was really cool because you can take the contingent out of it completely, right? It's not for everybody. Again, it's leveraging a product. But they've got some really cool things that you can do inside of that and learn about that. So if you're up in Prosper, it is a CE course as well. So
nice.
If you're up in Prosper, stop by, say hi. We're doing some food and check out the Highland model is the one we're doing it in.
Cool.
So we've got that, and then next week we've got there's a big producer event at the Star on Tuesday that we're doing and working through that. So a couple of different things. Again, we've got them posted on our Facebook page. We've got them posted on our website, or we will by the end of the weekend if they're not up. With some things going on. I know there's lots of other Christmas and Thanksgiving
lots
events.
Of parties coming up.
I say Christmas, right? I saw a cartoon the other day. It was a turkey and Santa Claus standing there, and the turkey's like, wait a minute, wait your turn, fat man.
Yeah, it's not your turn yet.
It's you go into all these stores and you see all the Christmas stuff up already, which I love Christmas, but man, let's remember to be thankful for the things that we have. And I think that's a good lesson for everybody of be thankful for where you are and for what you've been blessed with.
Absolutely. So if any of those events sound good, I'm going to make sure that I share all of them on our Facebook page, the Lever Facebook page, and any of your events I'll post on there. You can share over there. One last event I want to talk about because I think it's pretty cool. I work with a real estate company called Realty Firm Global.
Yeah.
They're an awesome group, and they're sponsoring a Thanksgiving dinner for the Garland Police Department. And so I just want to highlight that. I think it's special that they're doing that. They do it every year, and I'm thankful to be a part of it. So that's coming up on the 15th, a Thursday. So if anybody wants to stop by over there and just shake their hands and tell them thanks for everything that they do, with that thing that just happened out in California and that cop losing his life, man, it just makes me respect those guys and what they go through and what they're willing to do to save us.
Yeah. If you're not showing appreciation for guys that run into the fray when everybody else is running out, then I'll be so blunt to say you're missing the boat.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of guys that I'm good friends with and acquaintances, clients that are firefighters and police officers, first responders, if you will, and a lot of military. So guys, as you're seeing, walk into a restaurant, make sure you walk over and say thank you. I'll challenge you, and I'm going to challenge Dane live, so he's got to do it, right? Me and a couple of buddies, we started challenging ourselves. If we walk into a restaurant and there's police officers, firefighters, or military, pay for their dinner.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pay for the lunch. And we made a comment in our men's group about doing that, and the good Lord challenged me. I walked in, and there was 7 or 8 of them over. I'm like, where's my bill got to be, right? And then you think about it again, you go, if crap hits the fan, so to speak, I'm trusting them to come help me. So why would I not?
Got to take care of them.
Yeah, why would you not take care of them? So, man, events like that are awesome. There's, oh goodness, there's a couple more going on in December. I'll get with my office because I know we're going to be a part of that, and I'll make sure that we mention it here. But very similar. Shake their hand, tell them thank you, tell them, hey, we appreciate everything that you do.
Absolutely, cool.
Good.
All righty. Well, it's been fun. Like I said, I was hoping to have a speaker announcement today, but man, people's schedules are super busy.
You got to see what's coming, man.
Yeah.
Let's
let it be a surprise.
Let's do this. We'll throw out midweek, and we'll give a couple hints on maybe who this person is.
Okay.
How about that?
Okay.
That work?
Sounds good to me.
Perfect. Anything else?
That's it.
Awesome.
Thanks so much for watching.
You bet. Go make it a great weekend. Bundle up. It's going to be chilly.
Yeah.
Just great.
Yeah.
So,
awesome.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
We're shutting off right now.